All right, let's talk about something every car owner dreads: weird noises. Specifically, those strange, new, and honestly kind of scary sounds that start coming from under the hood. Today we're going to learn how to decode them, so you can turn that gut-sinking anxiety into confident action.
Oh, you know that feeling, right? You're just driving, minding your own business, music on, and then you hear it. A click, a knock, a rattle, something that was definitely not there 5 minutes ago. That one sound can just ruin your whole day. It's a universal and awful feeling for anyone who owns a car.
But here's the thing you have to remember. Those sounds aren't just your car deciding to betray you for no reason. They're a language. Your engine is literally trying to tell you something's wrong. And learning to understand what it's saying is the absolute first step in stopping a small problem from becoming a massive, wallet-draining disaster.
So let's start by just digging into that feeling. Why are these sounds so important to listen to? Let's get into it.
And you know what? You have every right to be scared. One of our sources puts it perfectly. That fear is completely natural. You have no idea if it's something simple or if your engine is about to explode. It's the not knowing that's the worst part.
So this is what this whole explainer is really about. What if you could flip that script, move past the fear, and get to a place where you actually understand what's going on? Because if you can identify these sounds, you can catch problems early, you can save a ton of money, and most importantly, you can keep your car safe to drive.
To really get what the noises mean, we have to talk about the one thing that's almost always at the heart of the problem. And that brings us to Section 2, your engine's lifeblood, motor oil. Seriously, almost every major scary engine noise can be traced right back to this stuff.
So, what does oil really do? I mean, we all know it's for lubrication, but it's so much more than that. It's like this incredible multitasker that's not only reducing friction, but it's actively pulling heat away from critical parts and even cleaning out all the gunk and sludge that builds up over time. It's a real workhorse.
Let's just break that down a little more. That barrier it forms, we're talking about a microscopic film of oil that is the only thing stopping solid metal parts from grinding themselves into dust. It's also a huge part of your car's cooling system. Without the right amount of clean oil, your engine can't do any of these jobs properly.
So if oil is that critical, what actually happens inside your engine when the level drops too low? Let's get into Section 3 and see just how fast things go wrong. It's a total domino effect, and trust me, it happens fast. First, that little protective layer of oil gets way too thin. Right away, friction and heat just skyrocket, and that's when you get metal on metal. We're talking pistons, bearings, all the expensive parts, just grinding away at each other. The last domino to fall is permanent damage.
And this is what that looks like in the real world. That's not just some wear and tear. That is a cracked piston. That is a catastrophic, engine-destroying failure, and it's a direct result of that domino effect from running out of oil. This is exactly the nightmare scenario we're trying to avoid.
Okay, so we understand why it's so bad. Now for the really useful part. How do we connect all that internal damage to the sounds we're actually hearing? That brings us to Section 4, decoding your engine's cries.
Think of this as your field guide to engine sounds. A sharp ticking or clicking, that often means the top part of your engine, the valve train, isn't getting enough oil. But a deep, heavy knock, oh man, that is the big one. That's likely rod knock, which means the bearings deep inside the engine have failed. That is a pullover right now, turn the car off kind of emergency. A rattling sound could be a loose timing chain, which is also really serious. And a hollow clatter could be piston slap. Now you'll need a mechanic to be sure, but knowing these basics gives you a huge head start.
And I want to be really clear, these aren't just abstract concepts. The noises are the literal sound of parts being destroyed. What you're looking at here are the engine bearings and crankshaft faces that get chewed up by low oil. These are the parts that create those awful, deep knocking sounds when they fail.
Now, it can be tricky to tell them apart sometimes, but here are the key clues. Ticking is usually a faster, lighter sound from the top of the engine, kind of like a sewing machine. A knock is a much heavier, deeper sound coming from the bottom half. And here's the biggest tell. A knock almost always gets worse and louder when you press the gas pedal. That's a huge red flag.
So you hear a noise. You've got an idea of what it might be. What do? Right at that moment. That brings us to our final section, your action plan.
Okay, first, and this is the most important rule of all, do not ignore it. Engine noises never ever just go away on their own. Pull over as soon as it's safe and check your oil. If it's low, sure, add some more, but understand that's just a Band-Aid. It doesn't fix whatever caused it to get low.
And I'll say it again. If you hear that deep, heavy knock, shut the engine off. Period. No matter what, your very next step should be getting the car to a pro to find out what's really going on.
And why all the urgency? Why do I sound so dramatic about this? Because of this number. 4, as in 4 figures. The repairs for the problems that cause these kinds of noises almost always run into the thousands of dollars, sometimes many thousands. Acting fast is the only defense you have against a massive repair bill.
So, at the end of the day, it really comes down to this. Your car is constantly giving you information. Those sounds, they're not just noise, they're messages. They are your engine's way of telling you something's wrong before it's too late. Your engine is talking to you. The only question is, are you listening?